So there you go. Another fairy tale romance gone. Good afternoon, Hotline.
Hey, Jeff, how you doing?
Councilman Bob, how are you?
Good. So, I'm curious, now, when Dede and Ron visited Fort Pearl, did you negotiate terms for her to come on the hotline?
I suggested that it would be a good idea, but there was no commitment there.
Yeah. See, now, of course, it was easy to visit Fort Pearl because, number one, you have a radio talk show. A lot of people.
Right.
And number two, you're a supporter of Dede, so, I mean, that's a no-brainer to go to Pearl, right?
Well, it was nice of her to stop by. Certainly didn't have to. I mean, it's certainly not a required stop on the campaign tour.
I was an advisor for Owens or Hoffman, and I would advise against being on the hotline.
Why is that?
Well, because as objective as you are, or you think,
right,
I think that just the fact that you have made a contribution to her and
sure,
endorsed her on your radio show, that, you know...
Yeah, but that's like saying that that's like saying Owen shouldn't talk to the Watertown Daily Times because they're supporting Dede. I mean, that's... as long as people know that up ahead, I think, they can... and actually, for someone coming in, that would be a great foil because I'd have to be extra careful to make sure they got their viewpoint across.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think there would be any downside to it. I think President Obama should go on Rush Limbaugh's show, to tell you the truth. And I would hope Rush would treat him courteously or go on Hannity's show or any of those things. But...
Why doesn't he?
Well, I don't know. Doesn't want to. Wants to go on the friendly talk shows.
Same reason they probably wouldn't want... But
here's the deal on the hotline. If there was a candidate who felt uncomfortable with the fact that I'm the host, or felt that I wouldn't be fair to them, or whatever, I am sure Mr. Levin, being the decent, honest, and fair man that he is, would arrange for a different host for that day.
So, like, if Hoffman wanted to come in...
He could have a sycophant host like Joe Brosk, I would think.
Brosk, right, yeah. That would be a good deal.
Yeah, and they could stroke each other or something, or I don't know, whatever they... pay each other compliments, that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I suppose you could probably find a liberal Democrat to interview Bill Owens. I think. But here's my view on this stuff. Anyone running to be a member of Congress of the United States of America, one of 435 people, a great honor. If they have a problem with getting by a little bump in the road like the Hotline or Glenn's show or whoever has a talk show in Ogdensburg or Plattsburgh or something, then maybe they should reconsider whether they want to be in that office. Because if the reason that, if they don't think it's important or they can't reach enough people, I respect that and I understand it's a market decision. But if they don't come on talk shows because they're afraid I'll ask a tough question, then I would submit that maybe they should reconsider whether they want to be a member of Congress.
I'm not saying a tough question. I think questions are fine. I think loaded questions, when did you stop beating your wife?
Well, I'm not going to say when did you stop beating your wife. I certainly would ask, if Ms. Scozzafava was here, I'd ask her certainly about her record on voting record. I'd ask her about her family's business dealings, and I would ask her about the Daily Kos endorsement. If Hoffman were in here, I'd say, well, wait a minute, you went through a process to get the Republican nomination and lost, and now you're doing this. Isn't there an integrity issue here?
Now, let me ask you this. Now, Dede did an interview on the radio.
Right.
National Public Radio.
Right.
National Public Radio is...
And I'm sure I'd come up with some questions for Mr. Owens, like, who are you? And all of that stuff.
My point is, Dede went on this National Public Radio, I think one out of St. Lawrence County there.
Right. They do a good job up there, yeah.
Well, I mean, the NPR is pretty liberal, and they just let her have her way with whatever she wanted to say and however she wanted to say it.
Well, that's one school of interviewing, is to, let the people, instead of the interviewer trying to interpose himself and make him the story, I asked her a tough question and I got recognized for that. Just let the person talk. I mean, sometimes you want to facilitate just them talking. Now, on the other hand, you've got to steer the topic to certain subjects, because otherwise all three of these people will just sit there and say, I'm going to fight for jobs and our seniors and better health care for all. I mean, what's that mean?
Oh, isn't that the whole story?
Well, the members of Congress don't create jobs. I don't.
Just kidding.
I know, but we'll see what happens. I don't expect to see any of them in the studio, and we'll just kind of go from there. I mean, and it really shouldn't be me doing it. I mean, this is incredibly small potatoes in the scheme of things on this show. They should be on the air being grilled by esteemed journalists like Brian Ashley and Scott Atkinson and
you're in that.
But I'm not a journalist.
Now listen, you see, Hoffman should go on there with Joe, and the reason is, I mean, just look at your poll from it. I mean, there's not even a.
I think they're playing hide the ball with Hoffman. I don't think they put him on camera. From all the Republicans I talked to say he did not do well in those Republican soirees in front of the county chairs.
I'll come back and say what I said before. Look at who they picked. Very liberal person. So, well,
I think it was a conventional choice. It was someone whose turn it was. It was someone who's been in the system, an elected official, had some name recognition. I don't know whether they were looking liberal or conservative. I think it was a conventional pick.
Yeah.
In many ways. Which
this guy, Caravan, is that his name? Ron Caravan? Did you read that? Between the lines, principles.
Oh, that out of the Fulton County paper, yeah.
That was.
Yeah, there's some nice stuff being written in different papers, and kudos to all of them. I love to be able to read all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I just hope all the papers don't go out of business. Then what are we going to read?
Anyway, Mr. Mayor, have a good day.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Hotline.
Yeah, good afternoon.